This is All India Radio. In the program Money Talk, now we bring you a discussion on India becomes largest producer and exporter of sugar. The participants are Nilay, Ranjan, agriculture expert, and Arjun J. Chaudhary, AIR correspondent.
Mr. Ranjan, could you tell us, for the benefit of our listeners, how important it is for India to become the leading producer of sugar and also become a leading export of sugar as well after the government removed the export caps? Why was the decision taken to impose the caps in the first place?
It is indeed significant achievement. Total export from India, 6.8 lakh metric tons in 2017-18 has reached to 1 lakh metric tons in 2021-22. This translates into the increased resilience in sugar sector, better cash flow of industry, and timely payment of the farmer. India's largest producer of sugar and also largest consumer and domestic consumption expanded around 275 lakh tons. With 2% increase in the production will also allow export of 90 lakh tons by up to 30 lakh tons. And as you said that the tariff which we have with the US and Europe, India is already exporting the sugar to the both US and the European countries. And it has a preferential quota arrangement for sugar export with the European Union. The government has already permitted export of specific quantity of raw sugar to the US under the tariff rate quota till December end this year. The tariff rate quota is a quota for a volume of export that enter the US at relatively low tariff. After the quota reaches this limit, a higher tariff is applicable to the additional 6%. But because we have increased that, this tariff quota has helped us to import to those countries, US and Europe, which is the largest consumer of the sugar after the India. But the key aspect of sugar sector, India is not alone about export diversification, but it is diversification to ethanol and continued effort to maintain domestic price. That is the key area apart from import.
So, Dr. Ranjan, simply put, the policy of the government has been to balance its aim to control inflation by earlier restricting exports and imposing quotas on exports and also imposing a export tax so that domestically the prices are controlled to a certain manner, even with market forces operating internally. While at the same time now these quota restrictions and tax concessions are now being given to earn foreign exchange for the mill owners. Why is it that we are seeing transition from the earlier move to control inflation while now it is to earn foreign exchange for the benefit of the mill owners? And of course, a part of the proceeds would go into the government of India's coffer as tax revenue.
As you said, that India is the largest producer, also the consumer. So it is important for India to make a balance about it. Because if you open up, everybody export it, then again has to import from the open market. That's why government has to put restrictions on the tariff quota, but at the same time allow the mill owners to earn the earning for the extra productions which they have done it. So it's a win-win situation for both of them, controlling inflation. At the same time, additional things which are producing above our production or consumption level, we can import at the preferential rate at the different market. So you earn revenue. So the mill owner is producing the sugar at the larger level. So of course, any country has a more foreign currency in its coffer. It is always better for the economy. At the same time, government which is struggling for the inflation is restrict the tariff so that the consumption should be maintained at the same price. Otherwise, if we start importing, automatically the cost will be high. This is a wonderful policy for the government to check and also give avenue for the industry to earn the foreign currency, which is better from the economy. So both balance is important for economy.
So I understand the window that you're mentioning is basically the tranches that the government is allowing for the export of sugar and earning in foreign exchange. Are there two tranches for the entire calendar year, and what has been the export production figures for each of those tranches?
The two tranches is important because it is due to the cycle of the sugar cane. So now the sugar cane product is coming now. It is important to have that first cycle restrict the old sugar which already have in market they can export. Now the consumption will be there in the 6 months that can be also be restricted. In terms of 21-22, they exported to 110 lakh metric tons sugar, become single largest exporter of sugar in the world and earn around 40,000 crore of the foreign exchange for the country. This is 21-22 figure. And this help in terms of timely payments, carrying out cost of the stock for the sugar mills, the sugar early clearance and the cane area for the farmer. As on 30th October 2022, more than 96% cane due to the farmer for 21-22 were already paid and cleared, despite the record procurement of the sugar cane and more than 1 lakh crore rupees had already been paid, which is a boost for both to lakh crore worth of foreign exchange for the country is big sum. Most of the country are after COVID facing the trade deficit, low in foreign currency. Agriculture, which is a growing sector in India, as earning both foreign exchange at the same time getting right money to the farmer who are the milk producers.
Dr. Ranjan, just coming back to the harvesting side of the business where farmers are at work, are we looking at a period of January to June when the harvesting takes place, and then from June, July onwards you have the crushing of the produce at these grinding mills where the sugar is ultimately refined and then sold to the market? So how do you see the farmers getting the benefit of what the mill owners are able to earn through exports?
You rightly said that the mill owner, if earning through the export, is improve the cash flow of the mill owner. And once that, after the season, from the June to July, then the mill owner earlier they have out of the cash flow. That's waiting for it's sell in the market and then earn the profit and then give it to the farmer. That's the whole due was. That's why if you're reading the newspaper, it's due for the 1 year, 2 years. That period was actually narrowed down. And this two sector, one you said that surplus to the export, and second thing ethanol. These two give a better cash flow of the industry, so that once that in June, July, the sugarcane comes to the mill, they have the cash flow to the payment. Earlier, the problem with the cash flow, because there's a single source of revenue. If the sugarcane comes, they produce the sugar and they sell it. These are only domestic consumption where once they sell it, they get an income and give back to the farm. But now they have two more sources of income, ethanol and the export surplus. Industry is in better conditions to repay the farmer within lesser time. And that's why the Agriculture Minister has given a quote in the Parliament that it has reduced to 96% the timely payment has done already.
So the trade credit being extended by the farmer to the mill owner and vice versa seems to have reduced the amount of time that payments are actually being made as opposed to what was happening earlier with the debts accumulating. Apart from this turnover that we are seeing, what are the other improvements that we are seeing in production to market right now because of the policies of the government of India?
In terms of the production, is improving because due to the three important initiatives of the government. First, agriculture scientists are now working on the new breed of the sugarcane, which has a high yield and better quality. This led to better income from the farmer. And I have seen in the farmer, because last year, the old breeds of the sugarcane was replaced by the new one, and it has given a better yield. So earlier, whatever you produce, the quality was 70%, and now the quality is moved to 80-90%. So this yield and also the quality has improved for better income for the farmer and also better crop mill owner to get more quantity of the sugar. So this has actually improved with the time. And now some of the state governments like Uttar Pradesh has a new scheme where all the subsidies has a structure subsidy where all SHG groups have to register and all registered industry only get the subsidy, and that's routed to mill owner. So those cycle was the most institutionalized now, which is completely informal earlier. So I have seen that the changes in the structure, institutionalizing the processes in the agriculture sector help farmers to produce more because they are getting at least timely payment and more payment. And we have a new system also because some of the organizations has put new IoT devices where you can know that per yield productions by the farmer, and it shows that drastically increasing in this sector. And this all led to the government initiatives to talk to the agriculture scientists. Last 2 months back, as a PM Kisan Sammelan, where a lot of scientists has demonstrated the new breed of agriculture in the Pusha. So this is the constant effort of the Prime Minister and the Agriculture Minister in terms of boosting the agriculture sector, working on the new scientific way of new yield for each crop, and now the farmer is getting benefit out of that.
So Dr. Nilay Ranjan, you are saying that the yield curve of sugar production has gone up because of genetically modified seeds that are going into the sowing stage of the harvest, and then access to finance and reporting standards being improved. What about fertilizer inputs, electricity, which have traditionally been subsidized? What are the benefits that the farmers are getting now, which has resulted in the production going up to 11 million tons, which was exported in 2021-22, and now exports being allowed of 8 to 9 million tons in 2 tranches?
Most of the input cost was so high earlier because irregulated market of the fertilizer. Now, 3 months back, the Prime Minister had one country, one fertilizer, where the single brand and a lot of the pharma, ureas and other produce has improved, which cannot be to go in the black market, and pharma are using it at the right time. And the scientific data also help pharma to use those information of the weather-related information, the soil-related information. Those information help farmer to use appropriately the fertilizer and the pesticide. Because if the humidity is high and if you spray, the effect is low. So now the weather information which is available to the farmer through the agriculture centers and also the Pusha and some international organizations also working in those areas, helping farmers to take the precise decisions when to do that. So if you see not only agriculture sector, other sector also, because this information, this data help farmers to reduce the input cost by 30 to 40%. And we have done an experiment for 10 lakh farmers. It shows that for the last 2-3 years, due to the relevant information, IoT devices help farmers to reduce the input cost on the fertilizer, on the new genetic hybrid seeds, and also the use of the water. Because earlier, they were using the water, how much water needed for the what sugarcane or other crops, they don't know about it. A lot of wastage. Now, with the new equipment, which is 100 rupees or 1,000 rupees provided with the Pusha, the farmer know how much water at what time required in my field. So, that's also improved the whole Prime Minister's mission on the solar energy. A lot of the equipment in the motor which the farmer uses for the electricity now moves to solar. This all is a combined effort. It's not like one go you can be a number one producer and exporter. It's all combined effort.
Yes. Dr. Nilay, Ranjan, how is it that the farmers, the traders, the mill owners have managed to mitigate the risk of climate change, that even though sugar is grown in north of India, especially in Uttar Pradesh, where the tropical climate and the access to water, the soil makeup are unique geographical indicators, climate change has not played a role in reducing production. In fact, it has allowed the producers to improve production. How have they managed to do that?
Climate change is evident everywhere. So, only the climate change helps them changing the cycle. So, if you have a local weather report information on the humidity, on the air temperature, you can take the precise decision. If you don't have those precise information on the soil, weather, leaf wetness, you can take a random decision. And that's impact on your crop cycle. So the new whole IoT effort of the government and also some of the private sectors, mill owners, they deploy the local weather systems, soil pro, crop view. Those are new equipment which are available in the market, and the PM has demonstrated around a lot of the agri-entrepreneur has displayed in the Pusha Kisan Sammelan. Those are all startups are helping farmers to reduce the risk of the climate which is rampant across the globe. So only these devices help farmers to understand the local climate better and act accordingly. So climate has its own way of reacting, but if you have information, you can mitigate it better way.
What about employment? What has been traditionally seen as an unorganized sector, are we seeing it get organized, and has employment or labor stats improved?
It's gradually. The pace is lesser, but it's still going to organize more. And because a lot of the FPOs, farmer producer organizations, SHG groups, which is a kind of institutions created which help in terms of farmer organizing at a one go. And the government also set up the 10,000 FPOs need to be set up. So the role of the FPO is very important in terms of agriculture sector. So organizing the farmer more organized, and all the input and credit scores go institutionalized way. Because randomly all the farmers are going to the market and doing everything randomly, the cost is high. So these SHGs, the farmer producer organizations, multiple institutions has created with the support of the government, help in terms of organizing the sector. And you can see in the next 5 years, once this sector is organized, all the benefits will directly go to the farmer, to the institutionalized mechanism. And for the last 5-7 years, you see that the direct cash transfer helping farmer in terms of no middleman, so directly all the benefits going to the farmer. Income has improved. The agro industry will grow and it's creating more employment.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nilay Ranjan, for being with us on this program and talking to us extensively on how India has become the largest producer and exporter of sugar.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on India becomes largest producer and exporter of sugar. The participants were Nilay Ranjan, agriculture expert, and Arjun J. Chaudhary, AIR Correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can also listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsttalks@gmail.com.